Welcome, citizens of Douglas County, to the September 5th, 2023 work session. The Douglas County Board of Commissioners will come to order. County Clerk, please take the roll for the record.
Yes, sir. District 1 Commissioner Ricky Dobbs.
Present.
District 2 Commissioner Kelly Robinson.
Madam Clerk, present.
District 3 Vice Chair Commissioner Terenia Carthen.
Present.
District 4 Commissioner Mark Alcarez.
Present.
Chairman Phil Miller.
I'm here. Commissioners, are there any changes that need to be made to the agenda? Being none, the agenda stands as approved as presented. County Clerk, as a reminder, each commissioner will have 3 minutes to make remarks with a 2-minute rebuttal.
Thank you.
Do we have any public comments?
Yes, sir. We had 2 individuals sign up this morning. So before I call those individuals, I will just remind everyone, when you reach the podium, please remember you'll have 3 minutes to address the board. Once you've reached your 3 minutes, we'll ask you to bring your comment to a close. And please remember to restate your name and address and subject matter for the record. And also, when you reach the podium, please adjust the mic and speak directly into the mic. So the first citizen who signed up is Mr. Henry Robinette.
Good morning.
Good morning. I am honored to be able to speak to you this morning. My name is Henry Robinette. I live in 3172 Lake Monroe Road, Douglasville, 30135. I'm here to talk about the millage rate. The confidence indicator has dropped to a level last seen in 2007 and 1929, before the stock market collapsed and the Fed had to bail out the financial system. We are already in a recession. The technical reason of a recession is 3 quarters in the negative territory. Mass layoffs are coming, since 60% of people live paycheck to paycheck and are unable to pay a $400 surprise expense without borrowing. We can expect defaults in mortgages. Although real estate values have remained in bubble territory, actual transactions have dropped. 110 banks are facing a slow motion bank run as depositors seek higher interest on their funds. Commercial real estate values are collapsing, and eventually home values will drop too. Therefore, the millage rate should not be increased, nor should it remain the same. Given the GBI investigation into the misuse of county credit cards, there may be areas where expenditures could be cut. This could allow for a small reduction in the millage rate. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Our next citizen is Ms. Jatan Osborne. Did I pronounce that right? Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Board of Commissioners. And my introduction is, my name is Jatan Newcomb Osborne. I am a resident of Parkside Community in Lithia Springs. My address is 981 Forest Knoll Court. Today I'm coming, thank you for allowing me to speak. By now you have received our letter of concern in opposition of any additional warehouses around our homes. And thank you, Vice Chair, for acknowledging our concerns. As we continue to have concerns and oppose these facilities, we have to acknowledge that we now know that Lithia Springs has been considered an opportunity zone area with outdated data that has not represented our community since 2005 and currently in 2023. Even more disheartening, according to State Line newsletter, these companies are aggressively pursuing economic development in minority communities, and almost 60% of the opportunity zone residents are non-white, compared with 39% of the U.S. residents. We also know that the area around us is zoned residential. However, based on the Douglas County Comprehensive Plan with no dates, the county is strongly discouraging against anything residential being built near us. How unfortunate for us homeowners. This funding for the building of warehouses and data centers is not bringing anything to economically help our city or the county. It only allows these billion-dollar companies to come into our neighborhood and build these warehouses without any requirements of having them leased or used, which allow them to write off losses, and they are given 10 years tax breaks. No wonder these companies like Amazon, who built a 100 dock facility and left it unoccupied, are building and leaving and are posting leasing signs all around us. How unfortunate that these companies are paid to take advantage of our county and community, where they are receiving 10-year tax breaks to write off millions of dollars, and we are in the process of getting our taxes increased with the final vote in late September. As a community, we have met and would like you to consider the following community requests based on the current and maybe future concerns. Residents' tax breaks. If they can get 10 years of tax breaks, why can't we get tax breaks as well? New street lights, establish an EPA, keep the land urban residential, create community centers, sound barriers, barriers to block trucks from coming through our neighborhood because they're coming now, and we have children that cross the street from one part of our subdivision to the other part. Install cameras, hire security for the traffic issues, buy out the homeowners. We'll take it with the right price. Residential developers, don't discourage them from coming there. Stormwater management and waste reduction. We are now experiencing serious water pressure issues in our community, and we are very concerned about that, as well as electrical glitches. Office spaces would be ideal. Also, retail or restaurants, somewhere that we can eat. There's nothing on that side. Am I done? Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Anyone else?
We do not have anyone else signed in, Chairman.
Okay, next on our agenda is the meeting minutes. Commissioners, please review the meetings before minutes before tomorrow's meeting. We will have two proclamations tomorrow. Ms. Vonda Thorpe will be here to read the American Business Women's Day proclamation, and Milton Kidd will be here to read the National Voter Registration Day proclamation. We will have a public hearing tomorrow for the rest of our certificate of compliance with the Metropolitan River Protection Act for the distribution center at 3945 Highway 166. Allison Duncan will give us a briefing on what that's about. Good morning.
All right. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Board of Commissioners. Thank you. I have a slide I can pull up to share with you if you'd like to just visually see what this project is. There we go. Great. Thank you. So this is a request for a certificate of compliance with the Metropolitan River Protection Act, as the chairman had indicated. So this is that 2,000-foot buffer along the Chattahoochee River corridor. You can see the project there before you. When Riverview Building 1 came before you, you can see that on the northern portion of the map there. A small portion of that site was located in the Metro River corridor, as opposed to what we have before you today, which is the second building. The entire building and all of its area to be graded will be within that 2,000-foot corridor. That's the area that you see in color on the map. So we have sent this through to the Regional Commission for review. They have come back and said they're not consistent with the Chattahoochee River Corridor Plan. There is equivalent consistency. In short, what that means is because that utility easement that already runs through the area provides a certain degree of space that's already cleared, they're allowed to count that against their clearing and impervious on the site. So based on the plan that is submitted, they have obtained compliance with the Metropolitan River Protection Act. We do recommend that you approve the certificate of compliance, but I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have. We also have the applicant with us today if you had any questions for them.
Any questions from anyone? Comments? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
County Administrator, do we have any business to come before the board?
No, sir, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. We will now begin with our agenda items. Clerk, please begin with the first agenda item.
Yes, sir. Our first item is under grants, number 8, approval of an agreement with the Atlanta Regional Commission as a sub-grantor for the ARPA grant in the amount of $75,000 with a match of $4,500 to be funded through Connect Douglas's department budget to provide transportation to the aging elderly 65 and older, amend the budget, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Ms. Jessica Hunley.
Hi, so this grant is just a grant to help us continue providing rides to seniors. The money for this grant is going to be used specifically to target seniors in areas.
Speak
The
up.
money for this grant will be used to target seniors in District 4. So we're working with the Senior Center at Connors Connect to help them transport seniors to the Senior Center and other local activities, as well as support their ARPA grant activities with their programs to get lunches to seniors at Golden Corral and things like that.
Any questions or comments? Vice Chair Carthy.
Thank you. Good morning. Is there a match for this grant?
Yeah, so it's a $75,000 grant with a $4,500 match.
Okay. And is there an amount that is not to exceed?
For the grant. So yeah, it's $75,000.
So when I looked at the contract yesterday, I noticed that the sub-grant contract spoke about a little over $100,000. So that's 75 plus whatever you just said for, that doesn't equal that. So is there?
No, so this is year 2 of the grant. So
Okay,
in the,
so this is a second part of that to equal that. Okay,
so this grant,
that's what I
the
wanted.
total is $75,000 for the program.
Okay, got you. And you said this will be to target District 4 residents.
Yeah, so not necessarily exclusive for District 4, but we are, because there's no transportation options provided by Connect Douglas in that area. So we're working with Connors Connect, which is like a residential village in District 4, as well as identifying other areas of seniors that we can serve there through our private vendors transporting them.
So you will transport them, so you will use a secondary transportation company
Yes.
if Connect Douglas is not available. So there would be small businesses that
Yeah,
are
so
able
they're,
to get,
They're all small businesses. Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
to
So
get the
the
funds.
same vendors that we use for our voucher program.
uh-huh,
So we have about 10, and we're working on recruiting more local businesses, but they're owner-operated transportation providers that operate similar to taxi services.
sounds good. I yield, Chairman.
Anyone else? Commissioner Robinson.
Thank you. Good morning. Welcome everybody back. Hope you all had a great Labor Day weekend. All right, let me get to work. So, transit, we're using this grant to expand west. How far would $75,000 take us? What
So-
is the outcome? What is the number of people going to potentially be served?
Right now, we have about 20 residents at Connors Connect signed up, but we have the funds to serve up to 80 residents in District 4 with this funding.
Okay. So we're equally 36,000, give or take, residents each per commission district. So we know the number of seniors within that each group varies, but okay, I get it. Is there a plan to scale this? Is this just sort of a one-time meet the immediate moment, or how is this tied into the broader transit plan? And somebody over there, Ron, or somebody needs to come help this out, 'cause I got some very specific questions. How y'all gonna get there? You got a transit plan study that's being done right now, your transit master plan. You're now doing this side deal, I get it. It should already been included, but okay, I get it. How you gonna map the two together? How do we make sure that we don't got these multiple systems, which is okay if we go there, as long as the board is aware that, all right, y'all see this splitting off now, talk to us.
Absolutely. I appreciate the time. As you know, the master plan is, we're nearing its completion, so we can bring back the fiduciary numbers and things of that nature. So we saw this as an opportunity to expand and provide some trips for potential citizens that would eventually be utilizing whatever we decide to put in place. So say we start this little program off and it's really good, it helps those 80 people and we're getting out there. Well, when we look at the future evolution of the transit agency, whether we have demand response or whether we extend shuttles or something to bring people into the fixed route network, or we just provide regular trips in those areas to feed people into the transit system so they can get over into, say, Cobb or whatever. We see this as an impetus. We see this as a benefit to, as Jessica mentioned, the existing providers that we already have. They're really good providers, and we're very fortunate in the county to have as many as we do. I think we have like 9 or 10, right? So this is a kickoff. They get excited about it. It's to help them to get to things and locations that they need, but also it's a transportainment component. We want these seniors we want them to get out. They want to get out. They want to go to Wind Down Wednesdays, or they want to do some other activities, things of that nature. So it's the impetus to a future evolution of providing some trips in that area.
All right, thank you. Last question, that's fine, Ron. I'm not trying to get us off task. I do support, obviously, expansion of the transit. It should have been there to begin with. I'm glad that we now have that we have more openness to the west. Well, the need was always there. It doesn't matter whether you go and address it or not, but I'm glad that there's advocacy for it. So I'm okay with that. My question is, you've got these 9 providers that provide a different set of services to the community. You know how this broader transit, and you're blending the two, and I get it. But who's responsible for service level delivery? Is it the same as Connect Douglas? Like, this is the standard in which we do transit? Are these guys being held to that same standard, or what are we doing here? I'm just trying to feel this one.
Oh, yeah, I understand. And so there's a pretty rigorous process that Jessica has to take these private providers through, and that's regulated by ARC, the regional commission. And so, yeah, they have to have their insurance. They have to have all their paperwork in order. So there is a process. It's kind of like if we were receiving 5311 funds, which we currently do not, but we might be eligible for in the near future, just because part of the county is now being designated as non-urbanized. So that might be something that we change or have to look at. So in the future, that's an option.
All right, last question. I got to keep going. Last question. All right, so out of those 9 providers for the full board, can we get a copy of who is this list of 9?
Yes.
How much success have they provided to date? And I just want to compare. And how will y'all select one of those 9? Is it on demand, who's ever available, or somebody out of that 9 is about to get this for this 80 grand?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Great question. And it's actually the providers are actually online, and all the voucher recipients. They're not online, right?
So the list of providers is not online, but it's available to our voucher recipients.
Right.
Or recipients. I can get that list for you.
Yes.
They have a rate sheet booklet. So these are the same providers that we use for our voucher program, which is like the on-demand service. We have about 200 seniors and people with disabilities enrolled in that program across all 4 districts. And with that program, they call the providers directly to schedule trips and give them taxi service. However, with this program, these are like regularly scheduled trips. So like every Tuesday, they would go to the senior center. They have a weekly trip to the farmer's market. On Sunday, there's like a trip to local churches. So these are kind of more shuttle. They're scheduled trips, and then the residents can join the trip if they decide to.
All right. I have no opposition. You guys did a great job. Thank you. Mr. Chair, I'm going to yield the floor. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Chairman.
All right. Commissioner Alcorette.
Just to keep in mind, because I know we've talked about this, we have a senior living facility coming up at Douglas Boulevard and Stewart's Mill right there, right across office and post office, so that, this can combine that, also that trip, just something to look at when we start planning these trips out to the west side. We can also look at that area as well.
Yes, Commissioner Alvarez, and those are actually on our maps when we're looking at route determinations and things like that for the future. I know that senior center is already something that RSNH has already put on there for consideration. But yes, we absolutely 100%. Plus, we have that one going in right next door to us.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of seniors in the county that need service.
Good. Looking forward to this. Chairman, I yield back.
Anyone else?
Thank you.
You said, excuse me,
Yes.
this is basically $80,000 grant, is that what it is? Well, with a $4,500 match, and this is ARPA money?
Yes, sir.
And how many people have signed up for it?
About 30 people sign up. The potential is for about 80.
Right now, and we're in the process of signing more people up. And a lot of the client pool is already affiliated with senior services through their Connors Connect program. So they already could schedule their trips because they're technically already in our system.
Okay. All right. I just don't know how deep we need to get into providing transit for this entire county. I don't know of any county that has a transit system that's profitable, and I just don't know how much this is going to affect our overall budget, and that's my concern.
Well, we're very fortunate with this particular grant, Chairman, because it was Title IIIB funding.
Yes.
So that's why the match is so low. It's only $4,500 match.
Yeah, well, I like that, but what happens when the grant runs out? That's a problem we face every time. We hire these people with the grant money, and then the grant runs out, and then we wind up paying for them out of our budget. That's my concern.
Well, this is this service, like the transportation service that we're providing with this grant.
So no employees, no
sorry?
Douglas County employees.
No, so it's all contractors,
Okay,
but
all
the
right.
service would be eligible for 5310 funding, which is our annual voucher program funding. So if the ARPA fund that grant isn't renewed, we could ask for more money in our 5310 grant in ongoing years to keep supporting the number of trips that we're performing in that area.
Well, thank you. You did a great job, by the way. Clerk?
Yes, sir. Our business items, number 9, authorization to renew the contract with Landmark Consulting for on-demand grant management and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Ms. Jill Hobson.
Good morning, Board. This is for our renewal for Landmark Consulting. They have helped us over the past year with our ARPA funds and the management monitoring of those funds, and we are asking to renew the contract.
We have any questions or comments? Vice Chair Carthen.
So, Ms. Hobson, the contract that we're renewing is the same as the one that was previously done, what, about 6 months ago? Or
It was done last year, and yes,
last year?
ma'am.
Okay. Is it for the same amount?
So it's an on-demand contract, which means we'll do task orders associated with certain projects. They're available to us, whatever project we need, but we will do task orders. So number 10 is actually the task order for ARPA for the next year.
Okay. And these funds are coming from your department, general fund?
Well, the only task order we have active right now is for ARPA, and that is paid for through the ARPA funds.
It's through ARPA funds, so there is no real, onus on the Board of Commissioners to actually fund this contract. It's being pulled
Yeah.
out of the ARPA funds that we already currently are spending.
Correct, and if we needed another task order for another project that may fall in the general fund, we would have to come to the board to approve that. It wouldn't just be automatically approved.
Okay, good to know. And where are we on our ARPA funding and projects?
We have obligated about half of the money. We have some projects sitting in planning that need to make some movement. I briefly met with county administration last month to kind of get a plan for that. So we're actively working it. I think y'all will see me for a reallocation in the next few months to get some things that are under budget reallocated and get some things that I just don't think are in the timeline to get them reallocated.
Fair enough. Thank you. I yield, Chairman.
Thank you. Any comments, questions? Okay. Clerk?
Okay. Number 10 is approval of task order number 3 with Landmark Consulting in the amount of $540,000 to be funded by ARPA funds for the ARPA project management, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Jill?
As I mentioned earlier, this is the task order for the ARPA funds. Last year, the board approved a $1.4 million contract for full ARPA fund management. This is the year 2 drawdown from that amount, $540,000. Landmark has been exceptional in providing service to us. They've got a team of 4 to 5 people that work tirelessly to help us get these projects from planning to close out.
Okay, any comments, questions? Yes, sir. Commissioner Robinson.
Thank you. All right. So again, project management. I see. So we talked about the $28 million for the ARPA, since we like to count. Half of that, 10% of that is 5% of that is what? 1.4 million. Now we're paying 5% for project management on a federal project. I'm consistent. Federal law allows you to go up to what? As much as how much? 10%, almost 20%. And the whole point is to make sure y'all get your math right. Don't mess these grants up. It's about assurance. It's about assurance, not about insurance. The reason you do project management, why you have third-party professionals, is to assure that the work gets done. I don't want to be upset with staff over big projects that they normally don't do. They're used to operations. They're used to service delivery. Why do you think the feds allow that much money, like, for overhead? I'm consistent. Y'all gonna learn something when it's all over. Don't expose yourselves to that. We don't have the capacity yet. It's not that we can't grow into this. Look, we got projects that you say half of them, they ain't even playing. I just listened. We're still working on later this year. You gonna get around, like God said, it expires next year. Like, that's when I'm like, okay, y'all are not, oh Lord, who's aligning this? And I'm serious about this. Y'all gonna, man, we get this money for once 100 years. We get it. We act like, nah, we got to the end of the year. We'll get around to it. We'll figure it out. Why are we trying to learn on? Why are we trying to do this at this moment? Just get it done. Appreciate that we got this money. But I get it. I had to make my point. I'm fine. I get it. So this, wait a minute. I thought Landmark was in there for grant management. Now I'm hearing the word slightly shift to be project management. Which one is it? And are they actually going to be responsible for delivering projects? Now, Jill, you know, you got this $28 million and there's another $55 million out there in general grants. Which one is this applying to, the $55 million or the $28 million?
Number 10 on the agenda is specific to ARPA. Number 9 is for on demand. If we needed them for anything else, they're available to us through that contract.
Ooh, did y'all pay attention to that? Are y'all paying attention? Oh, y'all wrote that very well. Uh-huh. I get it, but just be honest about it. Separate the two, not you. All right, come on, guys. You didn't have to make it this hard. You just should have acknowledged the fact that, okay, don't let this get away from you. Don't blow this. I know Jill is doing the best she can to keep up, like, all right, guys, get her some help. That's the whole point. Landmark is here. But it's going to cost you. So if we can't do this internally, how you going to bring the SPLOST internally and drop $150 million over 6 years on top of we can barely handle $28 million? Point made. I got to yield the floor. Thank you, Jill. You did good. Mr. Chair, I yield, sir.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, clerk.
Yes, sir. Excuse me. Number 11 is approval of a resolution of findings on a proposed local amendment to the plumbing code for water efficiency and submission of the proposed amendment to the Georgia Department of Community Affairs for review. James Worthington.
Morning, James.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, administration. As read, this is a request to approve a resolution of findings on a proposed local amendment to the plumbing code for water efficiency and submission of the proposed amendment to the Georgia Department of Community Affairs for review. The Metropolitan North Georgia Water Planning District consists of 15 counties and 96 cities in the metro Atlanta area, and we're represented by the Water and Sewer Authority as their executive director, Gil Shearhouse, is on their board. The Metropolitan North Georgia Water Planning District has requested that all of its affiliates adopt this local amendment by January 1st of 2024. Currently, Douglas County follows the state by adopting the International Plumbing Code and has no local amendments. But in order to adopt this local code amendment, it must be first reviewed by the Department of Community Affairs. The local amendment model has already been vetted by the Metropolitan North Georgia Water Planning District with the Department of Community Affairs. So once we receive these comments from DCA, then the Douglas County can continue to process the adoption of the local amendment. And that'll likely occur in the next couple of months. The primary water efficiency requirement changes on this are kitchen faucets, which are currently at 2 gallons per minute max, will drop down to 1.8 gallons per minute. Lavatory faucets are at 1.5 gallons per minute now and would drop down to 1.2 gallons per minute. Shower heads are currently at 2.5 gallons per minute and would drop down to 2 gallons per minute. It also includes some changes to landscape irrigation controls, including flow sensors, rain sensors, and water sense controllers. According to the district, these devices are already currently readily available and comparable in price, so it shouldn't be an impact to consumers. So the request is basically just to take this request that we've received from the Water Planning District and pass it along to the Department of Community Affairs, and then once we receive back those comments, we'll bring that back before the board for adoption.
Questions, comment? Commissioner Roberts.
Okay, somewhere along there, now what are we doing? And the reason I asked that, it runs contrary to, you heard some of the comments, and I've had my own experience about water pressure and conservation. So you gotta see that again, because y'all know what you just said to us?
Sure. So, and I agree this is a convoluted process here, but so for the county to adopt a local amendment, it has to go through the state.
A local amendment to what?
To any kind of building code.
All right, so we're dealing with code. All right, I'm
So,
in.
and our
Keep
current
going.
codes, we typically with all other codes, we just have the international building codes. We adopt whatever the state adopts, and that's how our code is written. We just kind of follow suit. Well, the Metropolitan North Georgia Water Planning District, who oversees the metro area, in an effort to reduce water usage, is looking to get a little more strict on the water usage in the metropolitan area. And to do that, they would like all of the affiliates, those 96 cities and 15 counties, to adopt this code. If we do that, we have to go through DCA first to have them review the code. That's just a state process. And then once that's done, we'll get those review comments back from them, and then I'll have to bring it to the board for your decision of whether or not you actually want to adopt it as reviewed.
I think I got him. I won't belabor because it's got to go through a process. But here's the thing. So look, we've got our own water supply. We ain't connected to the Chattahoochee per se. All right. So I'm hearing this. I get regionalism. I get we're part of a bigger group. But I'm like, I've historically heard about this water pressure out here, and even some of the citizens, they're concerned. I've had it. And I understand conservation. I don't know. I think, what if we're okay? Like, why tinker with it? It's like the military. Stop tinkering. Leave it alone. It's like we're talking, like, you're gonna weaken yourself. You ain't gonna have no pressure. You're gonna have nothing for the future. I'm like, I don't know about this one. This is one of those ideological, not in my backyard. And if I just, this one, I don't know about this one. This ain't no normal text amendment. I'm like, guys, do y'all know what they're doing, what they're putting before us? That's why I had to push on this, like, James. I got it. What? Y'all need to think about this one. So, James, I mean, I'm sure it's a process. I'm not convinced. I mean, this thing would have slipped through so fast. It's not could we have done it, but should we have done it? Woo. This is a good one, though. I'm gonna let it go for now. I yield, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Vice Chair Carson.
So I'm in opposition to my colleague to my left over here in District 2. I think this is great because the new standards that we need in order to conserve water is crucial, right? The county is growing. We have to be able to meet the capacity of the developers who are coming in here. And then the second part of that is ensure that they are putting in the right type of equipment that will allow us to conserve that water. So to me, this is a little bit overdue, right? Because other counties have already done this. And so our water efficiency, although we don't get our water from the Chattahoochee, we get it from Dark River, which is great, but we gotta have, certain efficiency codes in the requirements in the code so that those who are coming in here and who are now developing will actually have to meet those codes. Right now, it's not in there. So those pressure water savings is crucial, especially with us moving forward. So I'm actually glad to know about this, and I actually took some time to read about it when we were in NACO. So I'm actually glad that you are bringing this forward. So I didn't know we have to go through the ARC to amend our codes. That is new, but I'm glad we're updating this. So thank you.
Sure.
I yield.
Anyone else? Commissioner Robinson?
Yeah. Bolo, you said 3. All right, here's the point. And this is like, I don't have Gil in here. I need Gil in here. I need my expert in here. When you bring something like this, I get re-educated. But now we got to okay, you got to defend this. And here's my problem. I get we're growing. That's where we're ideologically. I disagree. Don't mow this county down. I get we're part of the region. I get it. Y'all better balance this. I'm not so caught up because we got developers coming out here. Good. We run the county. They don't. My point is don't empower them. Don't enable them so much. So the point is it's just the broader context. I'm not linear. My point is y'all better watch this. You need to be thoughtful about your decisions. I'm glad you got a checkbox. I'm trying to push the bigger people like, guys, y'all got to get this design right. That little 23-year-old is the same age as my son. Okay, housing, all this stuff. At our last military conversation. Like, no, I hear you. You're the same age as mine. Right, a generation separates us. Got it. And so I'm not caught up in just the economic development and all these guys. I'm like, guys, be thoughtful. Just be holistic. And we're doing these piecemeals of every decision we make. But I'm like, okay, step back and look at how it all fits. And my only point, slow this down. I will not stop until I leave. Y'all better slow this thing down. It's already in play. And before you know it, a whole generation went by, like, what happened? That's the whole point we're in right now. They'd be like, what happened? Where did all these people come from? Because you didn't plan for it. They're already here. So now I'm pointing like, okay, it's just a warning. You gotta agree or disagree. It's already here. Just be thoughtful on how you cast your votes. Gotta yield. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Anyone else? Just a note, I'm on the WSA board, and they are raising the water reservoir to about 38 feet. So Douglas County is not going to be short of water. I don't know how that fits on which side of the argument, but we are going to have plenty of water in Douglas County for a long, long time.
Mr. Chairman, may I add one other thing?
Yes, sir.
So if on pressure concerns, as you reduce consumption, if nothing else changes in the system, your pressure would increase. It's like capping off the end of an open pipe. So you would have better pressure with the less volume that you're using. So that's something to be considered. Think of like a pressure washer. They use very little gallons per minute, but it's a lot of pressure. Where you just take the end off a hose, there's not a lot of pressure, there's a lot of flow. So just consider that.
Thank you. Anyone else? Next, Madam Clerk.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Number 12 is authorization for Douglas County Sheriff's Office to renew an agreement with Syntec Fuel Master Fuel Management System Maintenance for the term of October 1st, 2023 through September 30th, 2024 in the amount of $1,175 to be funded through the Sheriff's Office budget, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Lieutenant Colonel Pounds.
Good morning.
Morning.
So Syntec is like a fuel master. That's what we use, the whole county uses for the gas that we get around the county. So it's a system that everyone gets fuel from, of course. It's like an information system for fuel delivery. It also keeps track of the vehicle, the person requesting the gas, how much fuel is being used, and it helps maintain the maintenance schedule. So when my county vehicle gets a certain amount of mileage on it, they know to get maintenance on my vehicle at that point. So this is all that is.
Okay. Any questions, comments? Thank you. Next.
Okay. Number 13 is authorization for Douglas County Sheriff's Office to renew an agreement with Control Concepts for the term of October 1st, 2023 through September 30th, 2024 in the amount of $14,940 to be funded through the Sheriff's Office budget, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Lieutenant Colonel Pounds.
This is a computer program that monitors all the actuators, the airflow, the temperature controls, the humidity of each area and office of the Sheriff's Office. They come out 6 times a year. It used to be every month, but we cut back on costs because some of our maintenance guys can handle that now. So they just come out 6 times a year to monitor the system. They come out physically and monitor it and upgrade the system as needed.
Comments, questions? Thank you. Next.
Okay. Number 14, authorization to request approval for the use of traffic signals from Georgia Department of Transportation in connection with the Veteran Memorial Highway and State Route 5 at Thornton Road, State Route 6 intersection improvement project at no cost to the county, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Director Rana.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and Board of Commissioners. This agenda item deals with an intersection improvement project that is currently being carried out by Georgia Department of Transportation. This is a state-funded, fully state-funded project that costs roughly about $17 million. The idea behind this project is to add a new quadrant roadway at the intersection of Thornton Road at Veteran Memorial. What that would do is it would actually displace all of the left turns from that actual intersection to this newly developed quadrant road. I do have a PDF of their concept layout that will be coming up on your screen in just a second. It should be up on your screens. Basically, GDOT being responsible for the delivery of this project, us being the local jurisdiction have to request the traffic signals, as this road brings in 2 additional traffic signals that are going to facilitate the left turn movements. With that being said, I would request the board that we recommend this for approval from Georgia Department of Transportation, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any comments? Questions? Commissioner Roberts.
All right. So, Director, good morning. Did we discuss this in Transportation Committee?
Yes, sir. This was discussed.
Can you give context to, it came out as being put forth to the full Board of Commissioners, and the key thing is that there's no impact to us, correct?
There's no financial impact to us.
No SPLOS, no fund balance, no capital improvement, no capital transportation fund, no contribution. Is that true?
Yes, sir. There's a minor contribution to the electricity bill, which is $30 a month. That comes out of our departmental budget. Other than that, there's no contributions.
All right, so again, being thoughtful, but lining things up. Again, transportation, how much is this? 17 million?
Yes, sir.
17 million. Just for intersection. And then rebuilding it. I'm sure everybody sees the quadrant, and you explained it. Can you explain just real quickly what a quadrant is and how it's shaped off? Because that really drove our conversation in transportation. That convinced me
Yes, sir.
why this was good.
Yes, sir. So just some background on this project. This intersection currently serves 60,000 daily users. This use is expected to grow to 80,000 in the next 20 years. So there are levels of service. currently this is operating at levels of service of E. We have A through F, A being best, F being worst. If we don't build this quadrant, the levels of service is eventually going to drop down to levels of service of F, which is unacceptable. This proposed quadrant, it's almost a jug handle formation. What it does is that it displaces the left turn from the actual intersection to new signalized intersections just around that intersection, which is about roughly 0.75 mile or less than half a mile of an offset. And basically what this would do is ensure through movement through the intersection, reduce the red times for all approaches, and allow right turns as it currently does.
Got it. All right, again, innovation. I really appreciate people like you, engineers, you and James. You guys are doing a fabulous job. You got to appreciate what some of the things that you guys have to either build yourselves or translate for us. So I appreciate that work. I have no questions. I already talked about this in Transportation Committee. It's up to the full board to adopt this. And it's just not in District 2, which is obviously 6, but it's also a Highway 5. Can you explain that one as well? The impact for that, for its impact at 78?
Yes, sir. 78 too has one of the highest truck movements. 78 currently has about 20,000 approaches on a daily basis to this intersection. So improving this intersection overall ensures smooth flow of the overall interstate, basically. And I think currently there are high levels of delays at this intersection for Highway 5 and Highway 6. So this intersection addresses both of those issues.
Very good. I yield, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Vice Chair Carson.
Thank you. Director Rana, from the time that we signed this contract and it goes back to Department of Transportation, how long are we looking at for both intersections to be done?
The current schedule that's on the books has a start date of construction by next year, and it had a delivery date of 30 months after the start. So basically 2.5 years starting next year. But there's a conversation in the background that's going on in GDOT due to funding issues. This project may be delayed by another 2 years. That means construction will start in 26, and with 2.5 years of construction would put this project in 2028.
2028. Got you. And I know, you probably have a good grasp of what we need to do internally for our roads and congestion. I know T-Spots has been thrown around quite a bit. And so in terms of it being 2028, is that a time frame that you probably are anticipating that you would be coming to the board? I don't know if I will be here at that time, but at least, trying to plan out, actually delivering better road qualities, the type of roads that we need to I guess handle the growth that we are going through now, because people are here, and what's probably to come. So
Yes, ma'am. For sure, with our transportation planning, we always consider the next 20 years. So the unprecedented growth definitely puts added burden to our infrastructure. Projects like these have been identified early on. So the growth that we're seeing in this intersection was actually identified back in 2008 and 2015, the regional studies that were conducted by ARC. So that is a continuous process that's happening in the background. So we're identifying those hotspots that may become an issue in the future, and we'll continue to seek federal, state fundings, and of course to rely on local fundings to address those problems as we progress.
So this is in alignment, back to what Commissioner Robinson was saying, this is in alignment to what we already knew was coming, and we're anticipating what else is to come, so that if we have to put a T-Splosh out to the citizens, this will be in alignment. This won't throw us off, even if they do push it back to 2028 as a completion date.
Right. This specific project will be funded by state,
Right.
so their funding, even though it's delayed, would totally come out of this. So this delivery would remain unimpacted by our local funding mechanisms. However, we will be open to taking more funds to address the bigger issues that we have around the county.
Oh, I bet you will. Yeah. Thank you. I yield, Chairman.
Thank you. Commissioner Robinson.
Yeah, all right. Just, again, one more time, again, transportation. All right, so they're going to build this quadrant. Are they going to resurface? That's something that I heard a citizen say during, about potholes. Now, again, it depends on if you advocate for it. I mean, put them on the list. But I heard her like, well, why do you have potholes that's not being addressed? Will this project deal with resurfacing, or is just the light? I heard intersection and light. Is it going to reconstruct resurfacing what talk to me.
Yes, sir. There is a segment of this intersection which roughly puts it out at half mile around the signal from the center of the intersection,
Yep.
which defines the project limits. Those limits of the existing roadways will be resurfaced and sidewalks will be added, so they'll improve it just like they're doing a new project. Then there's a new traffic signal light that's coming in, 2 new lights actually, and then a new roadway which will be newly constructed when the project hits construction. So yes, there will be new construction of a roadway, there will be resurfacing of the project limits, and there will be 2 new traffic signal lights added.
Right, and so to that point, transportation is expensive, and again, like you said back in, what do you say, in '08 and then 15. Well, in '09 we had a SPOS, and in 16 we had a SPOS. I'm gonna push on the point about, right, transportation is important, but not ahead of public safety. All right, so there's a balancing act, and they both shouldn't be in the same bucket. And I told everybody in 2020, like, guys, you need to separate these two. You cannot put transportation inside with public safety, with the fire and the sheriff at the same time. You're diluting your dollars and your power. And you're slowing down how you could address things, so it's okay. But, I mean, I hear T-SPOS and stuff, but we ain't even got started on the current SPOS. How you gonna ask the citizens for another penny? You ain't dealt with the current penny. That's my problem. And I'm not gonna be delusional about, like, no, y'all gotta do better than that. There's no way I can look my citizens in the eyes like, no, I mean, as much as I'm for transportation, all that stuff, unless you show me that you can move on the penny they currently gave us, I can't even entertain that. I yield, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Chairman.
Commissioner Alcaraz.
Director Ronald, you mentioned that this project will not be completed until about 2028. Now, we're just talking about this project. What about Veterans Memorial and Highway 5? A completion date, or when will that be started?
For which exact project?
The
sir?
Veterans Memorial and Highway 5?
So, that is this project, right, sir?
That is this project as well, so they both
Yes.
will be pushed out till 2028.
Right, this is just one project where they'll improve the intersection, add a new quadrant road, and the 2028 date hasn't yet been finalized. It's currently being discussed, and that would probably be the result. So yes, that would put this project out, including the Highway 5, out to 2028.
Okay, understood. Yield back, Chairman.
Anyone else? Clerk.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Number 15 is authorization to renew, excuse me, the the student ride-along agreement between Douglas County Fire and EMS Department and West Georgia Technical College, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Fire Chief Allen.
Good morning, Board, Chair, Vice Chair. This is to continue a clinical that we have with West Georgia Technical College for students to ride as third riders with our EMS department, basically to do their clinicals.
Any comments or questions? Vice Chair Carthen, you have the floor.
Good morning, Chief Allen. So since I have you before me, can you tell me how effective this program is, and do you actually recruit from the ride-alongs that you get?
Yes, ma'am. This is a very effective program. What we do is we farm from West Georgia Technical College their students. We recruit, we bring them on board. We also do this with Lithia Springs. We have other agencies that we deal with when we bring these students in for clinical rides. So it's a very important program that we do.
I was just wondering if we actually were making use of having them.
Yes, yes. Other departments are doing it also, but we're one of the bigger ones that actually we actually do this with a number of different agencies.
That's good to know. All right, I yield, Chairman.
Anyone else? Madam Clerk.
Number 16 is authorization of the Douglas County Fire and EMS Department to enter into a security monitoring agreement with EMC Security at a one-time cost of $5,565.83 and $30.95 monthly to be funded through the Fire Department's budget, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Chief Allen.
Yes, this is This is so we can go into an agreement with EMC Security so we can provide security for our headquarters. Currently, the fire department headquarters, our security needs to be uplifted, basically.
Okay. Any comments, questions? Your security needs to be updated at the fire stations, is that what you said?
No, sir. At the headquarters on 12501 Veterans.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Any questions, comments? Clerk?
Number 17, authorization for the chairman to execute a juvenile justice incentive grant funded agreement for services contract with Wendy Query as facilitator in the amount of $35 per hour, pending final legal review. Jennifer King.
Thank you. Good morning, Board. This is just a facilitator agreement. We're losing one, so we're replacing them, and she will be assisting with groups for our at-risk youth.
Comments, questions? Thank you, dear.
Thank you.
Clerk?
Number 18, approval of a renewal to the Public Relations Services Agreement with CSI Crane LLC in the amount of $6,000 per month to be funded through the communications budget with no impact to the budget, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Tiffany Stewart Stanley.
Thank you. Good morning, Chairman, Board of Commissioners. I'm coming before you today to ask for an extension of our contract with CSI Crane. Mr. Bill Crane has been providing public relations services, working with our Chief Communications Officer at her direction to make sure that our communications department is moving in the right direction, working with members of our local media, and things of that nature to make sure that our public relations is top notch. So we're just asking for an extension. This contract will be $6,000 per month from September through December. And I'll yield for any questions.
Questions, comments? Thank you.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's good, Chairman. So, at the end of December, are we gonna look for another extension?
Well, it will really just depend on where we are with the department. As of right now, we're just making an assessment going forward, but I would have to make that assessment and work with our Chief Communications Officer at that time. We have had some changes within the department. Some of the upper management has left recently, so we're working just to fill in and make sure that that the Chief Communications Officer has everything she needs to move forward. But I really would be able to make an assessment, hopefully November, early December, with the Chief Communications Officer to see if we need to make that extension.
Okay, I'll yield back, Chairman.
Anyone else?
Okay.
Clerk? Oh, I'm sorry. Commissioner Robinson.
No, I get it. Duly noted, I don't have any opposition because I do understand we have some staffing changes. But one of the things I want to push on HR is and you guys administratively is that you can't privatize key roles within the administration. That can't be sustained long term. So I'm hoping that you guys are working toward that. Like, okay, y'all got some key positions, we got funding, but we can't have a perpetual in key roles that they're contracted. You can't privatize this. Not like the Department of Defense. You can't privatize that. The Secretary of State, you can't privatize that. And so we have interims. We get it. You guys are doing a good job, but I want to see some stability, maturity also within the organizational structure that it's going to be long-term sustainable. Right? So let's make sure we're focused on what we're doing, and that we're consistent how we apply this across the board. There's a point to flex organizations. There is a point to bring in professionals and consultants, but that's not a sustainable long-term business model. That runs contrary to a county approach. Private sector all day long. Public sector, no. You have to be. You got to understand. There's a difference. I'm going to leave it at that. I yield, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Anyone else? Clerk?
Okay. Number 19, authorization to appeal the Georgia Department of Audit and Accounts sales ratio audit, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. And Steve Balfour was here, but, oh, okay, Steve Balfour.
Good morning.
Good morning, Chairman. Good morning, Vice Chair. Good morning. My appraisal manager, Eugene, will be running through the slide, and I will be here available for any questions.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Eugene Roberts. I'm the appraisal manager in the appraisal department. We're here to discuss the 22 Department of Audit sales ratio study. The sales ratio study that they've done, they do it on a yearly basis, and we disagree with the way the audit went. So we're here to ask the board to file an appeal or write a letter of appeal on our behalf so that we can try to get this thing corrected. The Department of Audit's audit controls two different things. One, it controls the fact that we can actually collect taxes, but the biggest thing that it controls is our utility digest. So the Department of Audit this year, we noticed that the average sales ratio study for the entire state was 35.87%. For Douglas County, it's 36.11%. If we're under the 36 threshold, we cannot collect taxes. We'd have to get a temporary collection order in order to collect taxes. 75% of the counties did not meet that criteria to get to the 38%, which is the threshold that we would need to be between 38 and 42% to collect 100% of our utilities. Douglas County kind of fell into that category at 36.11%. As you can see on the slideshow that I'm having now, in the red is the people who cannot collect and have to get a temporary collection order. Douglas County is actually in the green area, so we don't have a problem collecting our taxes. However, we're not going to be able to get the 40% assessment level on the utilities due to we're at 36.11. The next slide actually discusses and talks about the trends, what's been happening for the last 3 years or so, showing that we have been diligently working, and the Department of audits show that our ratios are going down. So in a downward threshold. So we're going up and they're going down. So if you look at 2020, our ratios were at 35, and theirs were at 38.72. In 2021, ours was at 37.55, theirs was at 37.06. And in 23, we were at 39.38, and theirs was at 36.11. That's for 2020. That's for last year, 22 to 23 same thing. What this is saying is we are at close to the market value, so close to a market value being 40%. And the Department of Audits are saying that we're only at 36%. And the reason for it is just the way they do things. And we can't control how they do things, but they have their set of rules and we have ours. We have to follow a set of rules, and unfortunately, they follow a different set of rules than we do. And that's state mandated, not something that we can control. We have 30 days to file that appeal. That appeal is coming up on September 8th. Our deadline is September 8th, which is the end of this week, to get that appeal in. And this slide actually shows our 22, because the bottom line for the county is this. This slide shows our 22 utility values at $191 million. Last year, we only collected at 37%, so we actually lost about 14%, $14 million in utility revenue. This year, if values stayed the exact same, we would lose about $18 million in utility revenue. We're trying to offset that as much as possible, and we can't do it unless the Board of Commissioners actually write the letter to the Department of Audits to appeal the audit so that we can actually gain more revenue to the county. The idea of this is to bring in revenue that's not part of the millage rate, it's the utilities, and it would just, it's a general overall to help the county itself. This last one is an assessment notice of one utility company. And if you were to take the $85 million that this utility company actually has in value and multiply it by 40%, it would be at $34 million. But due to the Department of Audit's audit saying last year that the value should have been set at 37%, we only collected $31 million instead of $34 million. So actually last year we lost on this one account about $3 million. So the idea is to try to collect as much money as we can from the utilities to get to that 38%, or as close to that 38% as we can, and correct what they did not do correct. Any questions?
Questions, comments?
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Roach?
Yeah. All right. I thought I heard you right. You finally got there. That you were talking about utilities. The digest is made of what? Agricultural, industrial, residential,
Correct.
et cetera. All right.
Personal property, also utilities. The utility companies themselves.
Stay with me now. Don't interrupt me. All right. So I get it. And I appreciate the fact that you're focusing on the digest, on commercial, getting it right. Got it. Commercial, they should pay their fair share. Years ago, you're upgrading your software, you're getting your people in order. Got it. So now I get to evaluate. I get the audit. It goes both ways. Now, I'm saying, now, they got that one right. Now, because you're talking about my digest, collectively, now you talk about, there's the residential that bounce like, okay, so if that's, are you doing it for the whole thing, or you just focus on utility? Now, I still have a pause. Y'all weren't here when I was asking questions, so this is relevant. Since I expect y'all gonna be there on Friday when we gotta deal with this millage rate. We won't do it now because that's not the topic. I could stretch it, but I'm not. But I wanna make sure that, okay, I got it. I don't have any opposition. You getting utility, there ain't that many of them. So y'all can get y'all mind around a couple of them. You know, a couple of utilities, what, 8, 9 utilities? Fine, y'all work that out. I'll let Madam Vice Chair and them, they got more experience on that one. I'm focused on the bigger picture. I need to make sure my numbers are right. They gotta be right. They gotta be accurate. I'm okay if you want to challenge the state and they didn't do it. You want to challenge the thresholds. I got it. That's the whole point of appeal. We even have to go through the process. Like citizens have to appeal us residentially, we can appeal the state on what they do toward us. Got it. But I don't want that to be a distraction about the overall, like, okay, that's just one small component to this overall millage rate conversation we're about to have. I just had to say that point. I have no problem with what you guys are asking for. I'll yield to my peers to, go to the state, go through the process, and if it comes back great, then you're on point. But don't miss this is part of a broader digest of 6.7 billion. Right? So this is a small component of that. We got it. I'm going to yield for now. I'll catch up with y'all on Friday. Mr. Chair, I yield.
Thank you. Vice Chair Carson.
How did you know that? Okay. So, thank you guys for presenting this. My question is, when they did the audit for us, they pulled just from samples, right? They just randomly pulled certain samples, and the ones they pulled obviously were low in order to get this number.
No.
No?
So their criteria to get to their sales ratio is to use previous year values, and they adjust the sales price.
Okay.
So they trend the sale price towards January 1st on previous year value. So it's virtually impossible to get the values we get because we are guided by
current
moving the market sales and the values previous year. We add to the previous year values. So that's why. So it's an impossibility.
Got you. So you've already done the letter to state that, like what the differences are?
Yes, we have what the appeal process allows us to have a discussion with them. So we are right now looking at the numbers. We are showing where their numbers will not equate to what we are having based on their methodology. So we're doing the numbers now. For example, a property that's sold for, say, 100,000, and it's now at 150,000 based on the new market values. It sold, I'm sorry, it was 100,000, it sold for 150. They will adjust the sales price back to the 100,000. We are adjusting the sales price up based on the market sales in the neighborhood. So we will have a sales ratio of, let's say we valued it at 140, it sold for 150, and the state is valuing it at like 110 because they're not looking at the improvements. So a sale, an investor bought us a property and they improved it and sold it for 150. We went out, we looked at it, we are looking at the improvements, etc., and we update the house to now it's valued 140, it's sold for 150. The state would have that value at 120 based on their methodology that they're using. So we're looking at all those sales now, investor sales that sold for like 2 to 12% above market. They're not taking those things into consideration. So we're looking at their sales samples and are saying this should not be used based on your method.
So with this being for utility companies, then are utility companies able to appeal just as well as residential or commercial?
Yes, they are. But we do not value the utility companies. Department of Revenue, they're the ones that appraise utilities. So they just send us a notice like this, and we forward to the utilities.
Got you. And
Yeah.
so if you win your appeal, will the utilities companies come back to the state and said, oh no, we like the other price? So
The thing is, it does not change the value. It just affects what they pay on taxes. The values remain the same.
Got you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just wonder. So you all have a discrepancy of about 3 percentage points for what they did. If they go any lower than the 36, which means we will be outside of the threshold, what will happen?
The results are that 50% of the counties that challenged last year saw an improvement, and the others were no changes. And our numbers are 39%. So the chances of going lower is virtually impossible.
No, but I'm saying their numbers, if you notice, their numbers are going lower. Right,
that's correct.
Uh-huh.
So our internal ratio numbers right now is showing
Are within the threshold.
Yes.
I got that.
Yes.
But their numbers, which
Correct.
they are, this is what we can collect on, is going backwards.
Right. So it based on the statistics, it can only go up.
Say that again, Mr. Rapp.
Based on the statistics that we're looking at now, the ratios can only go up after the challenge.
They can only go up. They if we win the appeal, or if we win the appeal, they can only go up. They will remain.
Yes, the adjustments can only be up. Yes.
And if we lose the appeal, then they stay where they are. And
it
that's
stays
the only thing we can
that's it.
collect.
That's
okay,
it.
Gotcha. All right. Sounds good. And how long will you know once we do the letter, if the board so chooses to do the letter to appeal?
They have 45 days in which to respond, and 9 out of 10 times they say it's. Last year, Pauline did an appeal, and within 5 days they said they got
knew
a
that.
response.
Okay,
Yeah.
got you. I just wanted to know if that would impede on our collection ratio.
No.
Okay, wonderful.
The utility bills comes out normally around about early October or so, it's not out yet from the
Okay.
DOR.
Got you. Sounds good. Thank you so much. I yield, Chairman.
Thank you. Anyone else? Attorney Coleman, do we need to go into executive session?
Mr. Chairman, we have one small personnel matter for executive session,
Okay.
which you really could do it here rather than convening if the board chooses.
Do we have a motion to go into executive session?
I move that we go into executive session for personnel matters.
Second. Do we have a second?
Discussion.
Discussion? Okay.
All right, so now I'm being consistent. Now, why are we going into executive session?
Personnel.
Who's coming before us?
It's personnel matters, specifically board appointments.
Okay, all right, there you go. Be consistent. I'm gonna hold y'all to this. All right, I yield, Mr. Chair.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? We're now in executive session.
And adjourn, Chairman. Can you adjourn this meeting?
I'm sorry?
Can you adjourn this meeting and
We
go into?
adjourn the meeting, thank you.
Thank you. We can stay down here if it's okay.